Hey everybody, I'm Grandmaster Ben Feingold here with candidates recap of the first half. This is game number 2 in the series of rounds 1 through 7, the decisive games. I'm streaming this live on Twitch, but it's also going out to you on YouTube once Karen makes the proper edits. Edit out all my R-rated jokes, or maybe edit some in. This is the game. Praggnanandhaa Giri. Okay, thanks PW Siegel. Yeah, I'm already going to do a second half recap, but not before the games. Okay, so Praggnanandhaa's white, Giri's black. Praggnanandhaa tries to get Giri out of his prep by playing the Grand Prix. Doesn't have a great reputation at the top level. It's considered that black can equalize against the Grand Prix. But, it's not something you prepare for too much. So Giri might be out of his prep quickly. Okay, so far so good. Okay, now according to the internet, which is always true, especially when it comes to blackjack advice, in this position, in one of Giri's chessable courses, he recommends castling. But he knows my rule, always play e takes f5. So he played e takes f5, which the engine says is fine. But Giri must have forgot what he recommended in his course, or he didn't care. Truth hurts. Okay, queen e1. The queen wants to come to h4, and the bishop goes to h6, and the knight goes to g5, and they order Papa John's. Okay, bishop e6, trying to thwart the bishop on c4. The engine's not too happy about bishop e6. Takes on f5, takes back, takes on e6, takes back, and queen takes e6. So material's equal, but black's pawn structure and king position are pretty suspicious. Queen d7, trying to trade queens. White doesn't want to trade queens. Black can't castle kingside due to its illegality. They castled queenside. And the engine said white was slightly better, and Giri defended well with his worst pawn structure on the king side. And white has the d5 square for his knight, and black has the dark squares in the center for his knights. Always play king b8. White's threatening knight b6 check. That's the kind of mistake you guys would make, is you wouldn't see that. So Giri's better than you guys, so he sees knight b6 check. Now gets rid of black's bishop. The engine says it's about equal. Prefers white slightly. White has a better pawn structure. Black has 2 isolated pawns. They trade everything. Always trade everything. Engine says white's slightly better in the endgame because black has 2 isolated pawns, but should be a draw. Okay, and then Giri sacrifices his h-pawn because that traps the knight on h7. But the engine says that's the only way for white to fight for an advantage. And Praggnanandhaa does take. d5 is correct. So white's a pawn up, but white's knight is trapped on h7. But the engine still prefers black, still prefers white. Engines like being a pawn up. There's no way to attack the knight. You play rook h5, knight f6 check wins. You play rook f7, the knight escapes. So you can't win the knight right away. Eventually, white's going to put it in h, and then play knight g5 and be a pawn ahead. So engine prefers white. White's a pawn ahead. Black has counterplay with his great knight. Okay, and the engine doesn't like the move knight d5. It likes the knight on e3. It wants to just take on c3. Now it says white has a bigger advantage. White plays h4, so the knight can go to g5. And eventually, if the knight can scamper home, then Praggnanandhaa has a pawn up. Black trades. Black forks. There's no knight f6 check because the knight's on d5. So knight g5. Knight f6 attacking the rook. Engine says knight f6 is a blunder, losing the game. Truth hurts. Now, if I was black, I would play knight takes h4. And the engine does not play knight takes h4. But I don't know why. So I'm going to find out. It says that move's no good because of knight e6 threatening knight c5 and knight f4. The best move is b6 or b5, either one. And white is a pawn up, but not easy to win. After knight f6, rook e6 is winning. Now, all of Giri's knights are attacked. Terrible. Rook takes, because the rook is undefended. Rook takes. The engine actually slightly prefers rook e5, but says rook g4 and rook e5 both lose. You know, white's a pawn up with a passed h-pawn and a bishop for a knight. So, okay, and the engine says this is all winning for white. White's a pawn up. White has a passed pawn. Pawns on both sides of the board. And black can't do anything. Black has to keep his rook tied to the h-pawn, and then white can just move his king up and win. Move it on up to the king's side. Giri tries to trade all the pawns off. Prag's like, you can have my pawns. I'm going to get a queen. Truth hurts. And in this position, black resigned. You can play rook c8 or rook h4. I would play rook h4. I wouldn't resign. But yeah, the engine says white is plus 10. And truth hurts. Yeah, because I can go win this other. I can check and play rook h6. Okay, then I'd resign. I definitely resign here. So after rook b6, Giri resigned, and Praggnanandhaa won the first game against Giri, and that was a shorter game than the game Fabi won against Akaru. Very nice game by Pragg. One blunder late in the game by Giri really cost him. But nice strategical win for Pragg. The younger player always wins. Truth hurts.